Saludos, buenas tardes a todos y todas. Bienvenidos al taller de la tarde de hoy. Mi nombre es Emanuel Santos, soy el coordinador educativo del Centro de Experiencias Profesionales. Quiero darle la más cordial bienvenida y dejarles saber que recuerden que esta es la sección 2, ¿verdad? De los talleres de creación de portafolios con WIX. Bien, recuerden que cualquier duda o pregunta la pueden realizar, ¿verdad? A través del chat. Y también tenemos los compañeros de nuestro centro que están con nosotros, a Daniel Resto, tenemos a Inga, tenemos a Walter Vázquez, que van a estar con nosotros también para asistir en el proceso de dudas o preguntas. Así que, de nuevo, recuerden que esta es la sección 2, ¿verdad? De otro taller que también estuvimos ofreciendo el semestre pasado. También va a estar disponible para todos ustedes una vez lo puedan, ¿verdad? Lo culminemos. Así que sin más, paso la palabra a Ellery Rojas. Ellery.
Yes, thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you, Sagrado team. Appreciate it coming back virtually. We're going to talk a little bit more about your portfolio process. And in this section, we're really going to discuss how you can start showcasing your projects with the portfolio. For many of you, you might have already started that process. So let's get to it. We're going to be covering common questions that we typically get about what you should include or can include in your portfolio site, but also being able to have that understanding that you're going to be showing your story rather than telling it like you typically would in a resume. And at the same time, we're going to help you build and design a project page. And so what I'll be providing with you today is one, the recording, so you can kind of watch it on your own and go through that process to help you navigate. And at the same time, I'm going to be giving you a nice little, I don't want to call it a cheat sheet, but like you see there, it's a nice guide for students. And it's going to give you an opportunity to kind of walk you through that process of adding projects and things that you might need and that you're going to add to yourself to help you with that portfolio guidance. So let's go ahead and dive in. Like Emmanuel mentioned, please know that any questions that you have, add it in the chat and we'll kind of go through it. And Emmanuel, hopefully, if I don't catch it, you'll let me know that we have a question in the chat and we'll make sure to try and share that. Okay, let's see here. So I would like to know from all of you, how many of you have a website already? I've started that portfolio. Go ahead and show us the hand clap. And if you don't, thumbs down. I'd love to know. Okay, couple no's. We got one hand clap. Thank you, Ingrid. Again, Emmanuel's like, of course I do. Been working on it. Alani, yes. Okay, Camila, awesome. Thank you, Wilma. Yemen. All right. So it's a nice mixed bag, right, that we have going on today. Now, for some of you, I'd like to know, I think I know what to put on my website, right? Let me know if you know already. And for some of you, I'd like to know whether you have no idea what you want to put in there. This will help with a little bit of an understanding. Oh, we got a couple yeses. I like this. All right, it's okay not to. That's what we're here for in today's session. All right, so for some of you, I'd love to know what projects you are already using. Type that in the chat. But most importantly, I'd love to know, what are you studying? What's your area of study? And what do you want to show is what I'd like to know. So throw that in the chat as we go through today's process. And so what I want you to have an understanding of is what's trending, right? And what is it that employers are looking for? So in this question, I'm asking, true or false? An employer cares more about your degree and what you major in than the skills you have for a specific job. So I'd love to know from all of you, is this true? Is this false? I don't know. What do you guys think? And for us folks that are in the career space, I know that we know this answer, right? All right, great. We have some nice visual majors here. False, 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 false. I love Yamel. He's like, false. Emmanuel depends. That's right. It does depend though, right? So when we go on ahead and we look at the data, we hear that it's false. You know, what we're looking at is that employers really would like to kind of have someone that has those skills. But how do you get those skills if you don't have the experience, is what I would say, having been from higher ed. But, you know, that's what they're looking for. And so what I want you all to know is that you have experience, whether it's an internship or your previous jobs or roles, or even in your academic journey. There's going to be skills that you picked up. And it's our job when we're building these portfolios to showcase those transferable skills. And so when you look at this data, this is what employers are saying. They want 63% in the past year, as more employers value experience and demonstrable skills. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to showcase those transferable skills on a portfolio, and I'm going to help you get to that. Another quote that we have here is from Google. And they're saying our focus is on demonstrating skills and experience, and this can come through degrees or it can come through relevant experience. So again, I want you to kind of have that understanding. Maybe you're just a student, but there's definitely other skills that you picked up along the way. So in today's portfolios, what are the things that we want you to kind of think about, right? Doesn't matter what industry you are. I've seen so far a few different industries in this that we have here. From advertising, chemistry, graphic, maybe some creative, screenwriting, acting. But skill-based hiring and recruiting practices, they're going to continue. That means that we definitely want to show, and a portfolio is going to give you that upper hand to showcase the best work, right? It's going to help you beyond the traditional resume, which typically takes, I don't know, 6 to 7, 8 seconds to look at. And a portfolio, an employer sits with it for about 3 minutes. So they really get to know you in that respect. So it's really important to have an understanding of what's happening out there right now and what is it that employers are looking for. And so this is one of the examples that we're going to be going through. This is Logan McGinnis. He's business and marketing. And I like to showcase this example, not only because we're going to be using this template, so I want you to see it before and after, but also I want you to be able to have an understanding, you know, you don't always have to be visual in the work that we do, and I'll be showing him in a little bit. But these common questions that we get from students, for some of you, maybe it's something that's plagued you. What should I be putting in there? How do I know if a project's good enough? Should I include work that I completed in school or for my major? And other times we hear things like, well, I'm not a creative, I'm not a visual. So what does that mean? I don't think I have anything to show on my site. Picking some projects to put, and what else do you need to include, and how many projects should I put? And what we like to say is that for many students, it could vary, and you don't always have to show everything that you have. And if you do have a variety, show the best work. So we pretty much like to say between an average of 5 to 8 projects, and even that can be too much. Think about what you're applying to and what you want to showcase. And very similar to resumes, you can have different versions of these portfolios depending on the industry you're applying for. So these are some of these questions that are very common, and we're going to kind of dive in and talk about what you can add to that portfolio. What's that kind of content, right? And so that identity that explains who you are to that visitor and that viewer to your site and your portfolio is what we're going to kind of go through. And one of the tips that we have students do is have you find out what your spark type is, this assessment. If you haven't heard of it, maybe you have from your career center, but what I want you to kind of look at is have an understanding of what is it that I am, or what is it that I can be, and what are these questions that we have that we can kind of go through. And what all of this does is really kind of figure out answering that question of who am I, and how can I be represented. So you're just going to answer a few of these questions. You're going to go through these, and it really gives you a good indicator, especially if you're having trouble kind of figuring out what you want to add in there. So this is definitely something that I like to share with students, because it's going to give you that ability to have an understanding of, what you feel comfortable showing and choosing that content, especially from that time that you had during your academic years. Some of you mentioned what your majors are, but what I don't know is, what year are you? Are you a senior? Are you a junior? Is it something, maybe you're graduating, maybe it's going to take you a few years to graduate, because that also depends on what you're adding to your portfolio. Maybe you're waiting for an internship or a job opportunity before you graduate and you want to add that experience in there. You can definitely do that. And that's some of the things that we're going to be talking about, but also being able to understand that these things that you're going to be adding are going to be showcasing those skills and those strengths that you want to showcase. So what sort of content have you created that you could put on your portfolio? And these are questions that I want you to think about, and I want you to go through when you're kind of diving into this process. And so I have a nice little snippet here. For school, you have things like essays, designs, artwork, conference papers. Maybe you have different slide decks that you've done for projects, right? Maybe you have videos, maybe posters. Maybe you're in a major where you have a capstone project. I see here that we have some sophomores. Maybe, I'm a college graduate. That's awesome. So maybe you're early into your graduation and you're ready to showcase yourself, right? Maybe you have a senior thesis. Things that you have outside of the university could be things like resume, right? Projects or an internship or a job. Maybe different description of services. Maybe you volunteered. It just depends on what you have and what you want to showcase. And so here you see other things that are outside of schools, right? Maybe you have different case studies or testimonials. Maybe you have reviews. Maybe you even have different, class projects. Maybe you're part of a student organization and you were very active and you had a role. Maybe you were on the board. It just depends. So think about those things that you're going to be adding, right? And then you're going to start thinking about, well, what kind of list do I need to have? What's that item that I need to be showcasing? What is that item that I'm going to be using? And so what I want to show you is a template that you can use, and I'll be sharing this template with you. Okay, let me see if it lets me add it in here. And I'm just going to start showing you this here really quick. Okay, this is a template. Let's kind of populate here. And all of you are going to get access to this. And this is going to be a guide that's going to help you. It's going to walk you through that process. You're going to really start thinking about what that goal is and what you want to show. And hopefully you'll have your spark type if you choose to do it. It's going to tell you a little bit more about you. And then you're going to be able to start saying, hey, what are these top things that I want to add and showcase about myself? What are these things that I accomplished while I was in university, in my program, in my area of study? What are those top things, especially if you're struggling? And then from there, I want you to think about your about me statement, because all of this is wrapped up in what it is that you're studying, right? What's your interest? What do you want to come out being? We go to school to become professionals and to be a specific, have a specific career. So how do you want to jumpstart that? And so some of these questions are going to kind of help you through that, right? What's your name? What's the job title that you're looking for? And what's that description of who you are, right? This is kind of like your elevator pitch. And then it's going to say things like, well, what do you believe that you want to do? Right? What are those achievements that you've had? This is going to help you with your about me statement. And then it's going to talk about, well, what kind of trainings and awards have I maybe had during my academic years? And then you can add things like, okay, well, this is my degree and this is my area of study and I went to the school and this is my intention. So it just depends, right? Think about having these 5 sentences and building your about me statement, and it's going to help you process how you can get started. This is just the starting point to your site, and it's going to help you with those projects. So here under your about me, if you have more difficulty, I have some extra tips in here. Who are you? What do you do? And how does your work and skills help others? This is really key, especially if you've done research on those jobs that you're looking to apply, or those internships or those opportunities. It's going to help you answer these questions. So for some of you, I saw something in here, a minor visual arts and 3D animation, and they're about to start their 5th year. You already know maybe what you want to specialize in, right? Do you work in motion design? And this is for Wesley. Do you like to work more creating animation? Is it characters? Is it backgrounds? You know what you want to do. So then when you start thinking about that industry, do you want to go into gaming? Do you want to go work in an organization that uses motion design? Everything uses motion design, right? So think about that and where you want to go, and it'll help you answer these questions, right? So when you're planning to do your project, think about, well, what kind of medium am I feeling comfortable using? And when I talk about medium, I mean videos, photos, words. You're going to need these descriptions that are going to help you. And so I want you to really think about these things. And when you're going through this template to planning your projects, make sure you go through each of these, because it's going to help you. And you can think of maybe adding your top 3 projects or top 3 things that you did. And we're going to go through some examples. But this is just something that I'd love for you to kind of walk through, go through. It's going to help you. If you have any testimonials, I'll show you ways on how you can add it to your site with these really cute little air quotes that we have there. Just different tools that are found within the editor, which is really great. Okay, if you have any questions, go ahead and type in the chat. But I just wanted to go quickly through this template. We're going to kind of be referring to it, and I'm going to also include it with the recording, this template of the presentation today, but also this nice planning sheet. It's going to help you through that process. All right, so making a list, right? Going back to how to pick your project. And your maybe your top 5 things that'll help you narrow down. You can pick assignments that go back to your major, and especially we talked about testimonials. Did you get great feedback, right, from either an internship manager or a boss or even a professor from that project? Picking projects that are in-demand skills, right? What are the in-demand skills within your industry? You definitely want to take a look at that, and then think about the quality over quantity, right? I know I mentioned 5 to 8 projects. That's on average, but it's okay to have 3 to 4. Maybe in some respects, some of you only have 2 that you want to show, but maybe those shows the skills of the things that you're applying for. Keep in mind who you're sharing this portfolio with, and it's going to help you narrow down what are those skills that you want to show. So again, we talked about showing, right, rather than telling. And so being able to find a way to showcase those skills that you have, and being able to use that visual content. So I talked about that medium, making sure you have, whether it's images or videos or graphics, something that's going to display an effective way of what you're going to be showing and sharing. And so for many of us, maybe you don't have visuals, and I'll show you how you can kind of gain that through the WIX media library that we have through WIX, which shows thousands of images and videos and graphics and illustrations for free that you can use. And so when I tell you, let's use some visual effects, what does that mean? It could be anything from your own images or videos that you have. We have again, I saw a few different media related visual artists in here in the chat. So you maybe have something of your own. If not, you have the WIX media library that you can use. We also definitely encourage you to use any charts or infographics. Those are little icons that you can use representing your skills, or any logos of the companies that you worked with. And I'll show you how you can do that. And so I do have an example here of the different writings that this Michaela was able to add to her portfolio. So feel free to go through hers and get some of these examples. We also have added additional examples in here for you to take a look at. You'll be able to click through here. So let's just kind of gravitate here to Genesis Rogers. And she has a nice varied background. I want you to take a look at the way she kind of showcases herself, right? She has a certain specific style already, a nice little brand, and she invites her visitor to, one, learn more about her, and then she's able, with icons and call to action buttons, talk about the different areas that she's showcasing, those skills. So she's talking about architecture, she's talking about research, and then she's talking about branding. So just like that, you can kind of easily see how she's used a different medium, right? She's using icons, she's giving a brief description, and she's using these call to action buttons to kind of invite the visitor to click on these different sections. You're also able to see these different sections as well as pages. So she's created categories of that work that she wants to showcase here off of her menu button. So you can easily go either to the menu, or you can go straight into her call to action buttons that she's created. So if you start looking at it, and you navigate to her page, you're able to see that she's created a nice little icon. She's added the title of the section. This is the architecture page that she wants to showcase her work. And I want you to kind of pay attention to the number of projects that she has in here. She has 4. You don't have to go crazy having 100 of them. I always get students that ask me, I don't have enough. But these are going to showcase the best areas that she wants to portray her skills in. And so when you take a look at it, you're able to click on the different kinds of projects, and then you're able to get a description of what that is, right? What was it that she did here? This was a project, a different interactive market and productive housing complex. She's very specific on what that project is and what it is and what skills she used. She's talking about the software that she used. So I want you to really think about those things. Here she's able to share a grid that she used in order to complete her project, right? Her research for this. And then she gave a nice description along with the different kinds of sections of building out this project. So this uses a nice visual effect. And she's able to use different mediums to talk about her project that she's creating here. Okay, again, this is one architect project. So I want you to see how easily she's able to visually create this, okay, using different mediums. And if you were to go here under her research, she's able to talk about the different research topics that she has in here, right? And so she's able to add an image, she's able to add a description, and then she's able to go through specifically what that project was and what she wants to talk about. Okay, and she's even able to use different slides of her project. So just different ways. I like showing this example because she's using all these different mediums that we just talked about. And so it's really great to be able to see a good visual example of what we're talking about through the slides. Okay. Any questions? I see we have here, Dariel. I have questions since I'm studying photography. Should I create categories and insert photos there? For example, like nature, and insert like 5 photos of natures. Exactly, Dariel. You're getting just the gist of it. Especially if you're a photographer, because I have it as a hobby. I have millions of pictures. I take pictures of everything, right? Still shots, nature shots, kids, people. It just depends on what you are looking to kind of focus on, right? Yes, exactly. So absolutely you want to look at different categories of your work because one, maybe you have a specialty. Maybe you just want to have one page that just focuses, I'll use that example of nature. And maybe you want to be able to write for magazines and tourism blogs. And this is the industry that you want to focus on, right? Just travel. And so you could have one that's just showcasing that, or you can have a website and a portfolio that showcases the variety of the work that you do. So absolutely I encourage you to make those categories. All depending on what your sole purpose is. So really figuring out what that goal is going to help you figure out whether or not you need categories, because who are you going to show that to? So that's the most important thing that we need to kind of figure out is who is it that you are kind of choosing to be your audience? So excellent question, absolutely. All right, so we're going to continue here, and I just wanted to show you visually what we're talking about through each slide. I do have another question here. How can this website help me create a website or portfolio for my writing, screenwriting, acting? Can I upload videos and scan copies of documents? Absolutely. That's another thing that I'll be showing you. How do you create these PDFs? How do you showcase to a visitor a PDF that you're adding in there? Just like we saw with the call to action button, you can also have that call to action go to a document. So I can show you how to upload documents. And if you're showcasing writing, that's a really great question, because my friend over here, Michaela, she has a lots of writings. So I want you to kind of take a look at the way that she has that in there. When you this deck, it's going to help you. So really, really great questions that we have coming in, and I'll try to show you these things. So we have here adding video. I'll show you how to do that. Adding documents. And I'll do that when we build out these project pages. Really great questions. So how do you tell a story with these descriptions, right? These are the things that you want to think about when you are trying to figure out how do you do these descriptions. And so in these examples, you're going to kind of see a theme. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of a secret with the STAR method on how you can do that if you're not familiar with it. But you want to be able to say, this is what the project is. These are the skills that I'm showcasing. You can either literally write out the skills, or you can do it depending on your industry, describing the software that you used. Okay, and who you did this for. So this was an internship that was done in the summer. So that's the when and the how and the where. And then from there, being able to say, this is the kind of industry, this is the kind of company, and this was a specific to an internship project. So from there, you're able to then show visuals of this. And this is just a very specific example, which is actually a branding. But being able to have those descriptions short, explanations are key to being able to showcase what it is that you're trying to share. Okay, so I'm adding in here a nice little checklist for you all. What are these different project description checklists? So again, start with a brief explanation of the project, going into the background. Was this for a class? Was this for a job or an internship? And again, visual, those were the tips, and then a good example of what that is, right? You don't have to be super wordy. You're just being specific, and you can carry out the same throughout each project so that there's a common theme to your work, right? Being able to explain that goal of the project, state the duration, explain what your role was, and end with a few words with a final result. Key takeaways, okay? From there, I know I touched a little bit about the STAR method, but this is a wonderful way for you to actually give the description for your project, okay? What is the situation? What were the circumstances in which this piece of content was created? Task, what were you asked to do? Action, what did you actually do? How did you do it? And what were those results? These results are exactly what an employer is looking for. The recruiter that's going to be looking at your portfolio wants to have an understanding. What were the results, right? If it's visual, obviously, hey, I was able to create this branding. That's what we saw in the example before. But at the same time, if it's a project that you're building, if it's something that you completed, maybe it's an accounting assignment, maybe it is a different business item. It just depends on what your industry is and what is that you're showing. This is what's going to showcase your skills. And so here we have another great example from Carly Calfee and her portfolio. And I like to show this example because you're able to see the project, right? And you're able to use the STAR method. So it gives you what this project was and where, right? This was a class project, the timeline, what their role was, and what was the end result, right? So that's what deliverables means. And so you're able to kind of go through this journey with the student and go through each kind of section of what you're trying to explain and what you're trying to accomplish and what you were able to do. and then being able to showcase what that design was or what that takeaway was. So really, really great way for you to kind of come out here and come out with a product and come out with a topic or a project and be able to explain it. Okay, so this is just one example of using the STAR method and how someone's able to kind of showcase that and showcase those individual projects. This is another nice example I'd like to add in here. Again, I want you to take a look at the project sections of these portfolios, okay? So we'll go here, you'll notice that they'll add a variety of items, right? Whether it's schoolwork, and I love the way that they categorized it because it lets the visitor know, hey, this is maybe a recent grad, maybe this is the different projects that they did, right? And you don't have to label it schoolwork. You can just showcase your skill without having to say schoolwork. But for this person, they're able to make that description. Then they said, well, you know, this is my professional work that I've done, and there's categories. And then these are the different UX UI designs that I've made. And if you'd like to learn more about me, you'll be able to go to my page, right? So let's just choose here. I don't know. Let's see. This is a nice photography award, brand design concept, right? Being able to explain what it is, what it was that was done. And they even did this fun like hashtag version of what it is they're talking about. And then being able to showcase what it is that they're, what it is that the work that they're doing. Okay, so they're showing their skill, they're showing the project, and they're showing the end result. Okay, so just think about how there's different ways in which you can showcase a project. Okay, and if I were to go here under schoolwork, let's pick here, I don't know, airline. So maybe they had a project and they had to showcase an airline. And so here, this is a different kind of conceptual project that they're showcasing, understanding what it is, the purpose. And I love the way that they did this little hashtag kind of showcasing what the end result was. And then they're able to kind of show you a mock-up of the design that they made. So again, really great examples. And notice that there's a nice theme. So each project that the visitor is going to, they already know how to read it. You're building that theme for them. You're making it easy for them. So these are just a few examples that I kind of wanted to go through with you. And so if you start thinking about the anatomy of what a great project page looks like, there's different things, right? You have a nice, strong, engaging image that the project is the first thing that you see, right? What is it that you want to show? It doesn't have to be something that you did, right? You have stock images. We told you where they are, but it's a visual, and that's where your eyes are going to be drawn to. So think about that when you're kind of adding that project, right? And what it is that you want to add in there. And then being able to have a title. Tell us how the project has been. Any awards or recognitions within the industry, anything that pertains to what it is you want to show. It's important to know, right? So here you notice it says the Yellow Wallpaper Indigo Design Award 2021 bronze winner. This is already letting you know, hey, we created this design for this book jacket and it even got an award. And you're able to kind of break down what that is. A nice example, right? And then from there, the description. And this is just what we kind of went through this already. Using the STAR method to have a description to tell the project's origins, right? How did it start? What were the challenges? And what was the outcome, right? What did you end up creating? So this is a really great way for you to really start thinking about each project and dissecting it and having it be something that you are going to be proud of showcasing. And like I mentioned, you're creating that theme, that look, that way that the visitor is going to be looking at these projects. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're going through that process. So another reflective question for you all. What's an accomplishment or an experience you're proud of, but that you didn't think could go on a resume, right? So I guess I'll ask that question to you all. What's something that you think is an accomplishment that maybe you didn't think could go on a resume? So we have one brave volunteer. Go ahead and type it in the chat. I'd love to know. to hear from you all. We have so many people here in different industries, but I'd love to know. Can an exhibit be on my resume? Can an exhibit? Absolutely. That's like the dream of a photographer or a visual artist. You want to have an exhibit. You want to brag about that. So really great question. Absolutely, you want to be able to have that. You can have it in there and say, I had an exhibit, I had a show, and I was able to showcase XYZ. You can even showcase that. As a matter of fact, I worked with an art majors, I want to say last week, and they were able to showcase an exhibit that they did and had a virtual walkthrough. Did you even know that you can add this to your page? So let me just kind of look for this, because I think, yes, it's called spatial. So if you are into art, or you mentioned being able to showcase an exhibit that you had, you can recreate that exhibit. And let me just add this in here for you, because I don't know if you've heard of it before, you probably have, but spatial can be used. And this is an example of a gallery walkthrough, where you're virtually walking someone through your gallery, and they can walk up to the art or the image, and they'll be able to see it. And it has a little icon, a little person, or a little graphic walking through there, and you're able to even see other people. So I hope that you're able to put that up. I'd love to see that on your portfolio, having you even create your own gallery that people walk through. So very, very cool. Absolutely. Yalimid mentioned I won awards for acting, but when it comes about a professional resume, can I include it in creative resume? Yes, it depends. You can always add that under accomplishments, right? That's definitely something you want to share. When you have an award, if you win any award, you want to talk about that award because that's like the ultimate showcase of your skill and then being rewarded for that. So I would say always add it, whether it is a paper resume, digital resume, LinkedIn, or even part of your site. You can add a section that says awards, right? What about if you have a photo with those awards as evidence? You could do that too, but you don't have to necessarily show that you got it, unless it's, you know, what's very popular now, Emmanuel and career team certifications. Those are super popular right now, right? You do this mini course on LinkedIn or Linda, and you're able to showcase that skill. So you just have to write the graphic for it and talk about it. So absolutely, I love that. And I hope that you're able to use spatial. Very cool way to showcase your work. All right, so what are we going to do? We're going to start building your projects page. Let's look at an example. Let's go through that process. Let me just go ahead and close some of these. If you have any questions, feel free to add them in the chat. I've gotten a few little questions and examples here. And so what I'm going to do is get started on building a site. And we're going to go through that process. Let me see if I have it here already. Yes, I believe I do. All right, so we saw this great example by Logan McInnes. I'm going to choose this template as well, just so that you can see a nice before and after. This is under my creatives tab here when you get to your templates, and I chose portfolio and CV. And I'm going to go ahead and use this business CV one. Absolutely, Dariel. Feel free to share your portfolio with the team. I'd love to see it later. There's nothing like bragging about you guys. All right, so what I'm doing now is I'm choosing a template. Hopefully you've already chosen one as well. I know many of you have started this process. If not, you're going to go into wix.com. Here in the slide deck, I have these instructions for you for those that are brand new, just in case you didn't go to the first session. You're going to be signing in. It's totally free. Choose an email that you're going to remember, but also a professional email is what I like to say, because our free sites give you a free URL to use, and it uses that email handle as part of the address. So just walk through this process. I have all of these slides in here for you so that you can kind of go through that on your own. For me, I just went straight into the templates page. And I just chose a template that I want to start working from. And I'm going to start building a projects page. Okay. So for you all, if you want to kind of follow along, I'm also going to throw in here in the chat our nice little example here that we have from Logan, just so you can kind of go through it and take a look at it, just deep dive if you want, if you wish, and you'll be able to have a nice little live example. So as my site is building, what we're going to be doing is not going like we do in version 1, where we talk about each thing and property and how each tab does what, but I'll kind of try to give it a nice little once over. I think what I want to do is ask Emmanuel any common questions that you get at this point. Not sure if you receive many, but I'd love to know. And if you have any questions, oh, Alejandro, can I add a monograph to the portfolio? So where do you want to add that? I'd love to know. Does WIX only have one website free, since I have already used it for the university? Dariel, the great thing is that you have unlimited amount of sites to use for free. So if you want to kind of see my example, this is my dummy site, and you can have unlimited sites, published or unpublished. You can play around with it. You can have it there. You can share them out. You don't have a limit on how many portfolio sites you have. And you can do anything, right? Like, let's just say you do a portfolio site, and one is to look for jobs, and then one is with a bunch of galleries that you're going to be playing around with spatial, right? And maybe you want to sell some prints. And so it's totally up to you what you end up making with them. So great question. Research may be, yes, you can add your research in there, but Gabriel Garcia Marquez, but ooh, well, I'd like to read that, but yes, you can definitely, I see a bunch of likes there. You can definitely add that in there. And so let me see here. You'll be able to add a variety of different items. Maybe you house it somewhere. I'm not sure if you house it somewhere, but you can embed them, right? Sorry, my computer's lagging. Let me go ahead and click this again. Any other questions I see in here? Portfolio. Okay. All right, so I'm just waiting for this to load. Sorry, maybe I should close some of my windows. I don't know about you guys, but I have a lot of tabs open. It's probably my downfall, having all these tabs open. All right, close these up here. Okay, so as we wait for this to load, I am closing tabs. Any other questions? Yes, Anna, with this final week. All right, let me close this stuff. I have a bunch of software open that I should not have open right now. Okay. Let's see. Any other questions? Is it necessary for me to translate all my projects to English for my portfolio? I would go and ask you, what is your audience, right? Or is it going to be more Spanish speaking? Is it going to be more English? The good thing about WIX is that there's, I believe, over there's 13 different languages that it'll translate to. So if you go to your settings, and if someone needs to change it, they could just click on a tab, and you can set that up for yourself under the settings tab. Let me go ahead and stop sharing and see here. I'm going to go back in here. Sorry about that. But yes, you can definitely add languages just by going to your settings and then choosing the languages.
On
So
there,
you,
for
yes.
Alejandro, I have to say too, on there, Alejandro, we use the word just depends. Depends the industry, depends your audience. But if you're Spanish speaking, you can begin with Spanish. But then, right, you can translate the projects, but just depend how Larry said, your audience. If you're gonna begin sending your projects to audience that they are English speaking, because you know you have to translate those projects to English, but it just depends.
Absolutely.
And also, I have this, I'm gonna switch to Spanish for quick for our students here. Recuerden que para aquellos que aún no entienden cómo llegar a la plataforma, cómo poder iniciar el desarrollo del portafolio, tenemos la grabación a través de YouTube, nuestro canal de Sagrado Careers, y de igual manera pueden contar con el apoyo, ¿verdad?, del CEPI para poder entonces comenzar ese desarrollo de su portafolio. De igual manera vamos a utilizar todas las recomendaciones y tips que Leri nos está proveyendo en el taller de hoy porque son, ¿verdad?, muy efectivos en este proceso.
Absolutely. All right, so here, my site is still building. I am going to choose another one to edit. Let's see here.
I have a question, Larry. What did you suggest for those students that are in the science industry? What do you suggest about their projects, what they can show on that portfolio?
When you say science, gosh, that's so broad. Are they going into
Let's
medicine?
see,
Are they
yeah,
chemistry,
medicine.
biology?
Mm-hmm.
What I've seen students do is that they add their area of interest. And so, for example, if you know you want to go into medicine and you're interested in pediatric care, and they have a lot of projects within that, or maybe they've done a lot of work for the Red Cross, or I usually see a lot of volunteering for that, or hours of practice, depending on what industry they're doing. I would definitely say be able to showcase those experiences, those volunteer hours, be able to talk about the different projects. I had a really interesting student. That one was probably one of my unknown degrees that I didn't know about. And that was, they were the person who draws the anatomy for the textbooks. Like there's a whole degree for that. And so his trouble was creating categories. He had all this work and all these different mediums, and he didn't know how to display it. It was just all in like blah. It was just thrown all in one go. And so when I worked with him, I was able to talk about just that. How do I go on ahead and navigate and create these different projects that he was able to do? And we kind of broke that down together. So if you have something like biology is so broad, but what is it that you want to specialize in? What is it that you want to do? And so that's exactly what we kind of went through. We talked about that, and we walked through that process, and we were able to come up with 3 categories of work. And we were able to, sorry, I'm just logging at the same time while I'm talking. And we were also able to choose some of that best work because he had drawings, and then he had computer animations, which is something that a lot of the schools that he was applying to or jobs wanted, and he hadn't played around with it. So when he was playing around with it, he actually did Marvel art, like the comic Marvels. And so that's something that was very cool that he was able to do and showcase at the same time. And it's a nice water cooler conversation, because now it also talks about an area of interest that he has. And you can talk to the boss like, hey, did you see the last Spider-Man movie? And he was able to kind of have that conversation with them. So it just depends. Some students get really caught up in that understanding of how do I showcase my work, but my personality at the same time. And you can easily do that just by looking and adding a section of, computer animation that he was doing. So it just depends on what it is that they want to show. It always goes back on that list that we showed. What is it that I want to show? Who's my audience? And what are the skills that I'm looking to showcase? So definitely depends. So yeah, it especially chemistry. Chemistry is another one that I see a lot. But I get students that tell me an area of study that they're interested in, and they're able to show if it's chemistry, well, what kind of research is it that you want to do? And so they're able to do that. So again, it just depends. I would ask, what is it that you want to show?
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes. All right.
Do we have any questions, guys?
You know, we're close to the hour. I'm almost there. I had to log in with another user account. I make a lot of dummy accounts, so just logging in here. Okay. All right. Okay. Sorry for that delay. Resumes and portfolio. I do have plenty of samples here that I can show. But I'd like to show you a live version. Okay, as this editor is loading, sorry about that. Let me go ahead and share my screen. And what I'll do is go here under the example that we have here. So what you're able to see here, go through the template, I guess, and kind of preview this. No, can't preview it. But I want to be able to show you how there's different sections. So automatically within this template, there already is a resume and a projects call to action button. And what you're able to see is, one, Logan was able to change the color. This is typically like a cream color, and it has specific pages in here. So he's able to kind of even keep the same template options. But when you click on the project section, he was able to make it unique. And in here, kind of using that star method, what is it that you did? What's the name of that project? What is it that you were doing there? This was an internship project that he was able to do, and a campaign with a nice brief description. Again, adding the logo of the company he worked with, adding an image that he was able to add, and then invites the visitor to view what that project was. So he built out not only, there's two things that I want to show you. Not only did he build out, which this is already part of the template, a projects page, and he's able to kind of add sections of it. And these are five examples of the kind of work that he did. So you have 5 different projects. Okay, he didn't go more than that or any less. And it was able to showcase a variety of those skills. So when you click on the project, he's able to add an extra page. Again, he added some image in the back. He added more specific what that role was, again, just emphasizing that, and then was able to give those examples of the work that he did within the project. And so you can easily add video. I know someone mentioned video. You can add and integrate that into your project. You can add different sections. So within this internship, he's adding a variety of different projects within there, highlighting each and every single one of those things that he's showcasing, and even added images. So you have video, you have medium with still photos, and you also have the logos that were used, right, for that company. And before you post a project, I know for certain organizations, maybe they don't want you to share it publicly. So I would definitely say, ask before you leave that project or internship or opportunity, whether or not you can share it, because maybe sometimes you can't. That's usually more for like state, or maybe you, I don't know, worked in Twitter and they had you working on a special project and they didn't want you to show. That's another really great example. You can always say you worked at this company, maybe it's Twitter, and you worked on this type of project, and then you can kind of share the skills that you did, but not necessarily share what that material is, because sometimes that does get tricky. So again, another nice description and showcase of a variety of ways in which he was able to use different mediums and talk about the different projects that he worked on. You're even able to see the different graphics that he was able to showcase as well. and all the different work that he did while he was on this internship. So this is a really great example of an internship that he had for a whole summer and the variety of different work that he did while he was there. Again, showcasing a variety of skills, whether it's his marketing ability, his different, you're going to notice different Twitter. So now he's showcasing his social media skills that he did while he was working there. He's also being able to showcase the different ways in which he can showcase images, but also different mediums of schedules. So you notice a variety of things that are happening in here. And if he was applying for an organization where he was going to be building marketing campaigns, they're going to easily be able to see how equipped he is with the different skills, right? Just from this one internship. And so if you were to go back here under a different project, maybe we'll pick, I don't know, coursework in marketing. This is a really great example because now he's showcasing his skills through a class that he has. And so again, the nice logo of the school, the topic, what's the major, what's the class, what was it that he was doing? You're seeing here, this is for his marketing and design coursework. And then he's able to break down different projects that he did for this class. Okay, so just a great visual way, a great way to reflect back on, I don't know about you, but I did a lot of case studies in the university. So you can easily add them. And I love the way that he's even able to add sliders of the presentation that he did, right, for his class. Like this is a PowerPoint presentation. So these are really great examples. And I'm so sorry, my template never opened up. But you will be able to kind of see how easily you can kind of go through that process of building this out, being able to add to it, and its touching point on all those different avenues that we kind of talked about. I added a nice variety of samples in here for you too, to kind of go through on your own, just kind of getting inspiration of different portfolios so that you can kind of see how different everyone is, get some inspiration on the variety of templates that there are and how unique you can make it for yourself and how all these different projects and skills are showcased. But at the same time, being able to have a good understanding of the backend tool of your website, which has a nice variety of things that you can add. Again, if you're looking to change your settings and add language, you can easily do that here on the backend. Being able to add search engine optimization. I know this is like a whole other world for many of you on how you can create tag words that will help you be found on Google, since we've partnered with them, and it'll help you whenever anyone is searching for you, being able to find your portfolio rather than like what you did on spring break. And then just plenty of other tools in here. I know that I add in here the kind of plans that there are. And I do this because everyone that came today is going to be receiving their own code. And I do apologize for this date because we always like to add an extra year to that, right? So it gives you time to use if you're a junior or a senior or you're graduating, or maybe you're a recent grad. You'll be receiving a code that's going to give you either the combo, unlimited, or business plan for you to use if you want to have your own domain and if you want to kind of have that more streamlined presence. For example, this example that you see here has its own domain, so you'll be able to have that. If not, you can always stay free. That's definitely not a problem. Additional resources that you'll be able to find in the back end if you want to learn how to use WIX even more and a variety of different tools. You can definitely check it out on WIX Learn, as well as a link that'll give you more inspiration for your portfolio. And then just very common questions that we get on back end tool and work. Technical things that you have in here. You can definitely do that and go through these. And then if any of you have any desire to leave any questions or would like to tell us how the survey is, let us know. We have a nice little link here for you. And then from there, we do have some summer webinars, Emmanuel, so I'll be sharing that and I'll update that here on the slide deck for you all. I do have a question here. I'm doing a website for my photography service. Should I keep going with the theme, like colors and typography? You can definitely, your theme is going to be your personality, right? That's going to be your brand. And there's a lot of really great templates in here that are photography based. So go around and play with each of them and see which one you like and which one sticks. Remember, you can build as many sites as you want. There's no limit. So I'm excited to see what many of you create. Emmanuel, thank you so much for having me. Sagrado, I appreciate all of you. I went over by 5 minutes, but thank you so much for coming to today's second session, and I look forward to seeing many of your work.
Thanks to you, Ellery, for the information you shared with us and for our students. Guys, if you have any more questions or you need our services or you need an appointment with us, remember you can schedule an appointment through the Plataforma de Asesoría Oportunidades. Or if you're struggling in that process, you can contact